The real agenda of educating our black children,
that's a totally different reality. So, keeping that in mind, now let's see what the leadership structure is.
If we're going to call public education, then it should be just that. Otherwise, we should call it what it really is. Poverty insurance. Public education, keeping poor kids poor since 1954. If we really, as a country, believe that education is the great equalizer, then it should be just that. Equal and equitable. Until then, there's no democracy in our democratic education.
In urban districts like Detroit and in Chicago, they had a bunch of principals, black male principals, being driven out of the schools. And one of them that was forced out said that he thought the agenda was gentrification. Because if you got strong black male principals in these schools, then you'll have a stable clientele for that particular community of blacks that will be there to be under their leadership. But if you get rid of them and the schools are just left to their own devices, and the schools are schools where you don't have a high level of education going on, you got all these disciplinary problems and these structural issues in terms of leadership, then the kids will have to disperse and go somewhere else where they'll have maybe something safer. And that'll allow another community come in and take over the neighborhoods and communities in those districts.
Okay.
See, the way gentrification works, the strategy and the protocol is you do a casino, you do a Walmart, you do a movie theater, right? And you also do some new university buildings. And you also do a charter school. Okay, a lot of black people fail to recognize charter schools also play a role in gentrification. The strategy is real simple. Get a black person to front the white charter school movement. The black person gets all the parents involved. Nobody's going to ask what color the teachers are. So that charter school is going to be 90% white administration staff and faculty. Those white people who are working at this charter school in the ghetto are going to buy up all the properties, all the abandoned lots, all the available real estate. And within 10 years after they opened up the black charter school, there won't be no black people around to attend the charter school. So the charter school naturally evolves into a white charter school. One of the best ways to get rid of black people is to open up a charter school. Why? Because most people don't feel comfortable opposing educational expansion. So if I say this is a university doing this, if I say this charter school is coming in support of giving black children another alternative to learn, who's going to go against a new school for black kids? So the way you get into the ghetto and take it over is you use the charter school as your way in.
I was told that the leadership wants administrators that are either weak or that are non-heterosexual. And I was thinking, what impact will that have on our young people? I ran into a student, wasn't a former student of mine, but students of the school where I was assigned. And the young man came up to me and was telling me about some of the things that happened at the school. And an interesting turn to working with young people is even when, in these settings, even when you don't have direct contact with them, they're not your students, they're not necessarily in your class, they don't necessarily remember what you taught because they didn't have you, they weren't a student in your class, but they remember what you represented. And sometimes they'll talk to you on the strength of that. And these young men were twins that attended Northwestern High School, where I was assigned for a couple of years. And they were complaining to me about the lack of effective leadership that had been in that building. They were complaining to me that it was woman dominated and there were hardly any men. And so the young fellow had graduated from there and graduated, I guess he and his brothers were honor students. They said all that feminine energy was a bit much for them because he said, I have a mother at home. I'm being raised by a mother. Why do I want to come here as another place where I'm exposed to only females? And wondering why there wasn't positive male leadership in the building where he is, because he was saying, how is that helping me? We're in a community where we got Joy Road, we got Dexter, we got Linwood, we got number streets. We're in the Zone 8 zip code. He's wondering how is this helping him. Now, he wasn't against females working out buildings with kids. As you know, in education, it's a female-dominated occupation. It just is, even at the high school level. But where are the men?
Black men make up only 2% of the nation's teaching force, but their presence in the classroom is shown to improve outcomes for students, especially young black boys. A study by the Institute of Labor Economics found that low-income black students who have a black teacher, man or woman, for at least 1 year in elementary school are less likely to drop out of high school and more likely to consider college.
And so this speaks to what I was told in terms of the direction of the district in places like Detroit, where you do not want strong men in there leading the children, because you've got another agenda. Maybe that agenda is this 2300 cell facility here in Wayne County. Maybe the game is intentionally set up so the person coming up to the plate won't be able to hit the ball. Maybe you're not trying to win the game. So these are the things that the children have brought. So another level to this is, who are the people running the building? We have the oath takers running the building. The leadership in many of our schools is a sorority and fraternity-driven culture. If you're in certain oath-taking groups, you will have access to opportunities to lead. So we must ask, as a black people, as Africans here in Detroit, how is this benefiting our young people? These organizations provide opportunities and provide access for their members. But are they prioritizing the needs of the children? Now, I'm not trying to castigate all, because I do know some that are running buildings in the city and running buildings effectively. But are these hookups, for the most part, beneficial? Is this something that's in the interest and image of our young people? Because we know that they're going to have opportunities because they're part of these organizations, because the structure is embedded from the leadership all the way down with people in these organizations. But is that beneficial to us? And just overall, just another conversation, as we said, for those that claim that they're Greek, why would you choose a country over your own continent? And so that's a whole nother topic that addresses our identity and who we are and what our values and priorities are and what we're about. And so in saying that, if we've taken an oath that puts us in allegiance or alliance with one of these cultures, what about the oath we took to make sure that our children have a decent opportunity moving forward in terms of their education? What about our responsibility as educated black male and female adults to provide the opportunities that we were provided to help us get to where we are? And so if we're leaders, even if we're not running a building, if we're just in a classroom, I don't want to say just, that I don't want to minimize that because they have the biggest impact on kids. Teachers in front of students, what kind of example are we setting? Are we dressed appropriately? Are we there to really help the kids? Are we there just to pay the bills? How do we look at the young people that are in front of us?
I have 696 kids, and they are the most intelligent, inventive, innovative, brilliant, and powerful kids that you'll ever meet. Any student I'd have the honor of teaching in my classroom is my kid. However, because their real parents aren't rich, and I argue because they are mostly of color, they will seldom get to see in themselves the awesomeness that I see in them.
Are we providing proper moral structure and guidance? Are we doing things beyond the curriculum to make sure that just how we got where we are, we're there to provide an opportunity for somebody else? As we were talking about Bob earlier, we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. Or how did you explain that? What was that phrase that you had that went along with that?
That we reap the benefit from the prayers of our mothers and fathers and our ancestors.
We reap the benefit of the prayers of our mothers and fathers and ancestors. So we as adult trained people in front of the kids, are we praying for their betterment? Are we creating that possibility? Are we creating that